What's up, guys? It's been a while. I have college and just life stuff in general to thank for that. Anyways, I think most of you don't notice, but I've never been a fan of the X-Men. Sure, I know some things about the X-Men, mostly thanks to the Fox movies, X-Men movies. Some were good, X-Men 2 and First Class I still love. And some of the animated shows, like my childhood, Wolverine the X-Men, and I did watch a little bit of the 90s animated series, but you know, I don't know everything, and I don't want to because it's just so daunting. Like characters, so many plot threads, just eesh. It's so daunting. Kind of like the entire Marvel universe. It's so daunting to get into. But sometimes I do dip my feet in the Marvel universe from time to time. When Ultimate Spider-Man, reading Ultimate Spider-Man to every She-Hulk run minus the David Anthony Kraft run because I'm lazy, and the reviled Mariko Tamaki run, which I will not read, and the comic that I will be talking about today, Joss Whedon and John Cassaday's Astonishing X-Men. Before I start raving about this run, I will first say that yes, I am fully aware of Joss Whedon's abusive nature on the sets of Buffy, Angel, and the recent Justice League movie. By recent, I mean 2017. Anyways, so this is not me praising him as a person, but praising his writing and how what he does with comic book format. And of course, I can't deny this comic's not awesome, man. It's freaking awesome. So yeah, let's start. The character writing. This has always been my favorite thing to look for when it comes to any piece of fiction. And this book has damn good character writing. Whedon really made you care about these characters. He got to flesh out characters I don't have much attachment to. I mean, I'm mostly a DC and indie comics guy. But Whedon really made each character shine. From Wolverine, who I already know of thanks to my uncle and the movies and the action figures. Anyways, to Colossus, to Beast, Hank McCoy, Dr. Hank McCoy, to Emma, to Scott, and lastly to Kitty. He really made them shine. Also, the way Joss writes their voices. He nailed them. He made them sound likable, and the banter between the characters felt natural. Even though at parts Scott sounds a bit like a combination of David Boreanaz and Mark Blucas, and also sometimes Kitty sounds a bit like Buffy, but hey, I didn't mind it. It's just something I noticed, and it's still good. Also, the relationships. They were so well handled. From Dr. McCoy and Agent Brand, to Logan and Beer, to Emma and Scott, and to Kitty and Peter. He really knows how to handle the relationships in this run. The Emma and Scott relationship especially, because I am familiar with the Scott and Jean romance, but I just never liked it. It's weird. This, however, was beautifully presented. Also, Whedon making Peter and Kitty's romance as the front and center of the final arc. It makes sense. Now that this is over, now let's move on to the artwork. John Cassaday, who I am not super familiar with, cemented himself as one of the best X-Men artists ever in this run. Because aside from his well-rendered, well-detailed characters, he really brought a cinematic feel to this book. And he really nailed the tone that Joss Whedon was going for, in his scripts. From the comedic timing to the heartbreaking moments, he nails it. He really brings out the emotions, with facial expressions. Also, Laura Martin's coloring was spot on, as always. She's always great, but she again, same with Cassaday, brought a cinematic feel to the book, and it just hits home. Speaking of cinematic feel, now let's move on to... Again, your boy is not an X-Men guy. But when I first read Scott's speech on why the X-Men should be superheroes, I got chills. I mean, again, I am not an X-Men fan, but Joss just knows how to make his audience feel for the characters, and it works. Even if you are not super attached to these characters, he will find a way to make you geek out on certain moments. From the fastball special to them donning their new suits, and just so many moments, just... Oh my god! Okay. Let's finally wrap this up. 2. I could go on and on and on why I love this comic, but the only thing I can say is buy it now, especially if you don't have it in your collection yet. It's a good read for old and new X-Men fans and to non-Marvel readers. And if you are looking for an X-Men comic that has a beginning, middle, and end, a definitive beginning, middle, and end, this is for you. And before I cap this off, I will first say the reason on why this is where my X-Men started and ended. So yeah, to make it short, aside from it having a definitive beginning, middle, and end, it also felt, as I was reading it, felt like I was watching or reading a DC book. It had the vibe of Dwayne McDuffie's stuff, his comics, Justice League comics, and the stuff he did for the DCAU, mainly Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That's it. And that's all I have to say, and hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Take care, y'all.
I gotta get its mainframe.
There isn't time. I want this thing off my lawn.
Every now and then, Summers, I remember why you're still in charge.